10-time NFC South Region Coach of the Year, his coaching staff, Patrick Murphy of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Gosh, Murph, what is this? Is this your 22nd?
21.
21, okay. Team
21. 20, yeah. 23 overall.
Time flies, 23 overall, 21 as the head coach, and it's almost upon us. You're going to be getting it started early next month down at the Troy tournament on February 8th against Murray State, and Troy February 9th against Maryland and Murray State, and then February 10th again against Troy. So it's almost here, and I know you're biting at the bit.
We've had 2 weeks of fall or preseason practice. We have 2 weeks left. Really, I think 12 days of practice because 2 days off, or maybe 11 because we have a travel day. But I've really been happy with everyone so far. I think everybody came back in pretty good shape after Christmas break because, they get about a 4-week break. And we really didn't see them. I guess we had our Christmas party on December 2nd, and then we didn't get to see them again until the day before school started, which was, January 8th. So they did a nice job over break, and our strength coach, Michelle Diltz, provides the workout, but it's totally up to them whether they do anything. And when you go home sometimes it's, your gym at your hometown isn't exactly like the weight room across the street here. So sometimes they have to be creative and get some stuff done, but I think everybody did.
I'm excited about this team too, and I'm excited about this recruiting class that you brought in. I mean, I think it's loaded potentially with superstars. But I want to get into, and Corey called in earlier, already pumped up about wanting to hear you this morning, and Corey from Trussville, who's a gigantic softball fan.
Thanks, Corey.
I want to get some thoughts from you on how this game has evolved, and you always shoot straight, and I give my opinion. Doesn't mean I know what I'm talking about, so you may disagree, but I look back to when you were building the program here and how this game's exploded and how the talent level has gone up because there's so many more girls playing. There's girls now 4 and 5 and 6 years old are dreaming of playing in college softball, and they're better, faster, they're more athletic. I remember when you were first getting it going here, you could look at a player and pretty much tell what she was, whether she was a slapper, whether she was a power hitter, whether she was an infielder, whether she's outfielder. Now Kelly Kretschmann might have been a opposite of that. She might have been ahead of her time, but now, there's so many athletes in this sport that can do so many different things. The game, in my opinion, the last 5-6 years has really changed. Do you agree with that or not?
Yeah, and to give you an example of that, I spoke to an event. Or at an event Tuesday night in Trussville, and I had no idea how many people, and it was mainly for, high school, college coaches, summer ball coaches, and there was probably 125 people, and she'd give me the list of attendees, and honestly, there was about, at least 10 to 12 teams that were, represented and coaches, but that I had never heard of. And, 10 years ago, there might have been 10 total, and I knew everybody. And just that growth is exciting because more and more kids are playing. There's more teams. It's just a really cool time to play softball. And I think this is the softball playing state. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Oh, no doubt.
The colleges have kept up. The high schools have kept up. Now summer ball is, just growing like crazy. There's athletes everywhere, and it's kind of like the perfect storm, weather-wise, athlete-wise, coach-wise, and then all the facilities in the colleges that have kind of made this sport really boom over the last 10 years. So it's a fun time to be in softball in Alabama.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And one thing I think about great coaches that I've noticed, you great coaches have your core beliefs, you have your fundamentals that are never going to change, but you evolve. You change as the game changes. And I look back at when you could ride, basically one pitcher an entire season, or maybe one and another one to just spot her up occasionally, give her a break. But the way the game's changed with so much pressure these lineups put on you, I'm looking at your roster right now. Let's just go through this. This is, I've seen you go through an entire season with only three pitchers on the roster and maybe only 2 of them healthy. Now you've got Montana Fouts. You've got Sarah Cornell. You got Courtney Gettins. You got Madison Preston. You got Crystal Goodman. That's 5 pitchers, all of whom appear to be capable of helping you this season. And that's a little bit different than what you used to do.
Yes, and for sure we were going to have 4 because Montana had signed as a freshman, and then Crystal signed also in November of the early period. But then we really got lucky with Sarah because they had a coaching change at Hofstra, and it took them a while to hire a coach, and she just decided that she wanted to try something different. And, she won 23 games as a sophomore up there. It was first team all Northeast region. But the other day in practice, we had like a mini scrimmage inside, and Montana has already hit 72 miles per hour.
Holy cow.
I know. And Crystal and I were sitting there behind home plate, and she kind of hits me on the arm. She says, "Murph, look." And so I said, "What?" She said, "Look." And she had hit 73. So we were kind of both celebrating, and then Sarah gets in there. Well, Sarah hit 70.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and I don't know if the machine was on steroids that day or what, but, we were like, wow. Well, the day before, Crystal had hit 70, and she had texted me last year when she was pitching at Chipola and said, she was so excited, and she had hit 71 on the gun down there. So 3 kids on the staff have all hit 70 in practice, which has never happened before for us. We've had Jackie Trena was the only one that's been even close to 70, and she was consistently 70, 71. She'd hit 72 every now and then. But then you throw in Gettins and Madison, who's our only lefty, and Madison is anywhere from 59 to 62, but with a nasty drop ball, and her changeup has gotten much better. And then Courtney might have the best changeup of anybody, and she's anywhere from 60 to 63. So it's a really, really good mix of kids. And, I could definitely think that you could see like a closer role at times. But the first weekend or two, I'm just going to kind of mix and match and see who matches up better with the opponent. And then it would probably be a rarity if somebody pitches 7 innings the first 2 weekends.
Yeah, that's what's so neat potentially about this staff is you can pitch situationally. I mean, you got enough, as you said, you got enough talent. You got velocity. You got change-ups. You got a lefty. I mean, you can go into a series potentially saying, we're going to attack this way on Friday. We're going to come back with this one on Saturday. And if they tweak their lineup on Sunday, we'll have so-and-so ready to adjust to what they do lineup-wise. I mean, you got a lot of versatility with the staff, not just because of the numbers, but because obviously of the talent.
Well, I think the biggest obstacle really is getting the young ladies on the staff to believe in the staff, because every one of them
used to be a bell cow.
If they didn't go 7 innings, they thought it was a failure.
Right.
And Madison, she won the state championship for Missouri her senior year, and she was 19-0, and I think the team was 21-0. So Montana, Kentucky, she was like 45 and maybe 2 her senior year, and the team was 48-2. I mean, I could tell you for everybody, Crystal was the junior college pitcher of the year, and she had a really good staff at Chipola, but she pitched the majority. Same thing with Courtney at Florida Southwestern. She pitched the majority. So the other day, I called our buddy Lance Cormier, and I said, "Lance, would you come talk to the team?" Everybody was in there about the value of a pitching staff and what your role was, in the major leagues, because he was kind of the 7, 8, 9 inning guy that would come in. And, as a freshman, he was the reliever for Jim Wells. He was the closer. So he saw every role possible as a pitcher. And, it was, if he got the 2 righties out that he was supposed to get out, that was a hell of a good night for him. So I think it helped the girls realize that, with 5 people, we have more options. And the best thing about it is, if I had asked Alexis Osorio last year after her season, how many days were you truly fresh and your arm felt great, she probably would have said maybe 5. The first day for sure, the day that she struck out 21 against Fordham at our tournament. But it's people think that you can go all day, but there's a lot of wear and tear on the arm, the back, and the shoulder. And the best thing about this is we're going to have somebody that's fresh in April and May, and not just February and March. So that's the big a big thing for me is just to learn when to take somebody out, when to put somebody in. You know, that's the key.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Visiting with Patrick Murphy, Alabama softball coach, year 23, year 21 for him as the head coach, and just amazing record of success. I want to get to this class you got coming in a moment because I'm excited about them. But let's talk about yesterday preseason All-SEC. Bailey Hemphill and Kaylee Tao named on it. These are two players that have proven that they can play at the highest level in college softball. And I know you'll be relying on them not just for their talent and their big bats, but to provide leadership for a lot of these younger players that you have coming in.
Yeah, and I don't know if you got to see the tweet yesterday about 15 more days on Alabama softball Twitter account. But it was basically a highlight show of Bailey hitting bombs, and it was very cool by our Crimson Tide Productions that put that together. But it just got everybody fired up watching that. But both of them, you're right. I mean, Tao had a really good freshman year, obviously, led our offense. Bailey was right behind her. That was the key because we had two kids right in a row that you really couldn't pitch around. So you kind of had to pick your poison with them. And I think this year, one of the keys is the emergence of Claire Jenkins. Just her entire game has just been so much better this year. There's a huge difference in her, and everybody saw it this summer in our 8-day practice before we went to Japan. She's been the most consistent hitter all fall. And if she has even just close to the year that she's at the level that she's performing at now in practice, we're gonna have a really good 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the lineup because it's been exciting to see.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the potential of this lineup, and I want to get to some of these younger players you got coming in. But another thing I want to ask you about, I watched what Tim Walton's done at Florida, and I've watched some other programs around the country, and as I said, the game has become less position specific, less specialized in the sense that there's so many athletes now that are, and I'm looking at your roster, you're filling up with them. These streamlined 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" athletes. They can hit for power. They can hit for average. They can lay down a bunt if they need to. They can gap one in and turn the bases triple or even an inside the park home run. The game seems to have evolved in that way. Not that there won't be a place for slappers or true power hitters, but there's so many more multi-tool players now. To me, is that something that you've noticed and you've recruited to in the last couple of years?
I definitely think so, and especially with, when we talk to lefties, they're a triple threat. Most kids they can hit away, they can slap, or they can drag bunt for a hit. And, Haley was just like that. Kayla Bro. Brittany Rogers was getting to that down the stretch of her career. We've had a lot of kids like that, but Alyssa Brown, obviously, her speed is so special.
Right.
But she's mainly slap or drag. But we've got Skylar Wallace, who's a freshman who you're going to really like. She's going to have the green light. She's a very, very athletic middle infielder from Georgia that can run, hit for power. She can drag bunt. She's one to watch out for in the freshman class. But I think it definitely, and the first day of practice, we had sat as a coaching staff and said, okay, where are all these people possibilities of playing? So we listed every position and then every kid that we thought could have a shot at that spot. So we told them all, at practice the very first day. And I said, look, if we're playing the first weekend, and I have said, Kayla Davis, you can play first base, possibility of left or right. You need to be ready in those three spots. And if not, like during preseason practices, if you feel like one spot is being slighted, you need to tell me that you need more work at, left field. So we've got like Taylor Clark, the transfer from Virginia Tech, who's a junior. She could play all 4 infield spots.
Wow.
Maddie Morgan, first, second, or third. Skylar, short or second. Claire, all 4 infield spots. Bailey, first and catcher. Reagan Dykes, who's a hell of an athlete, catcher, first, second, or third. Alyssa can play all 3 outfield spots. Tao, right field, first base. So, and what I told them is if you hit, you're probably going to play, but you need to have many pieces of a puzzle that you can kind of fit into in case whoever else is one of the best 9 can only play 1 spot. So we need to find whoever else is one of the 9 a spot on the field. So the more utility you are, the better off you are as a value to the team. And I think they've all kind of bought into that. But, Claire could probably play left and right as well, but she's more valuable in the infield right now for us.
Yeah, it's an exciting roster, and you mentioned Skylar Wallace, but and you also mentioned Davis, but you've got Wallace coming in. Let me make sure I'm going through all these freshmen. Chloe Anderson's another really good athlete.
She's a green light girl too. Yep.
Yeah, Kayla Davis. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, these are all very athletic, multi-dimensional players, and obviously we mentioned Montana Fouts, who as a pitcher is going to be potentially off the charts. I mean, I know you've had great recruiting classes, but for where you're at right now, how good do you feel about this incoming class of freshmen?
Well, Skylar and Montana were obviously really highly recruited by everybody. And, it's the sky's the limit for both of them potential-wise. But I think Kayla was one of the most underrated kids. And if you just see her, she just looks like an athlete. But her skill is, she's got potential to be a heck of a power hitter. She's a righty-righty, first base outfield, like I said. But she's raw right now, but she's got really, really good power. She hit, I think, 3 or 4 home runs this fall, 2 in 1 game. So she was kind of just getting into her own then. She had a big sac fly against New Zealand to win the game for us, actually, in Japan. So I think she's going to be kind of a clutch player. And then Chloe is, she had a little injury with her back at the beginning of the fall, so that kind of slowed her down a bit. And but she is a green light girl, left fielder, fast. She throws right, hits left, but she's more of a slapper bunter. So she's going to be kind of in the mold of a Brittany Rogers, but she's a green light girl, and she's going to give us a lot of options, as to if we're playing a righty pitcher and she can get it down, she's going to be valuable for us.
Wrapping up with Patrick Murphy, Alabama softball coach. This schedule is a doozy. You crank it up February 8th, as we mentioned, down at Troy. You got the Hillenbrand Invitational in Tucson. Then you come home for the Easton Bama Bash. UAB's scheduled in there, Easton Crimson Classic, and you're going to go to Hawaii. But I look up on the schedule, and all of a sudden you kind of sneak in March 8th, 9th, and 10th. You got Missouri coming in here for an SEC series. Yeah,
there was, some years obviously it rotates, and you don't play 4 schools in the league, and then the next year you will play the 4 that you didn't play. But it's the other part of it is all random, And in years past, we've had a bye that first weekend. Well, this year the bye is the second weekend of SEC. So we get Missouri at home, and then it worked out perfectly for us because that's spring break the next week. So we go to Hawaii, but we don't miss 1 minute of class.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we're off. So we're really looking forward to seeing a lot of Tua fans in Hawaii.
Oh, absolutely.
We've told him about that. So he's been telling all his family and friends that an Alabama team's coming over there. But yeah, the Arizona tournament, 5 of the 6 teams were in regionals, and 4 of the 6 won their league last year. So that's going to be a fun tournament. Obviously, I think Arizona's probably going to be preseason top 10, top 12, and they're very, very difficult to play at their field because their infield is like a cement pad, and they still have, pretty fast kids. But the thing that he's been doing lately is he's been hitting the long ball, and with the air there, it's like a launching pad. So it'll be fun to play them. because we respect the heck out of Coach Gandre and his program.
We've discussed this before, and I guess you've got Vanderbilt's the only school that doesn't play softball in the conference, and so you got 13 teams. It is what it is. But do you think at some point you could at least have one? You know where I'm going with this. One opponent that's a permanent opponent for you. It's just a shame that Alabama and Auburn. This is another season where you don't play in the regular season.
Yeah, and then we've talked about that, but it's so hard with the odd number of teams.
Right.
The 13 really kills us. And I think in volleyball it's difficult, too, because Vandy doesn't play volleyball. So
Come on, Vandy.
I know. We've thrown different things around, and I guess the 8, which is 24 games, kind of we settled in on that. And one thing that we've talked about for the SEC tournament, which I don't know if I've told you this yet, but we host next year, 2020. It's coming back to Tuscaloosa,
Great.
So that's going to be exciting for our program. But we've considered everybody getting in, so it'd be a 13-team tournament. And, last year we played at Missouri, and unfortunately Missouri
didn't get in. Yeah.
Yes.
Kills
and
you.
They hosted
Just kills you.
Yeah. So the coaches have voted for it, and we'll see if we get it passed. So
At A&M this year, right?
Yes, we go to A&M twice. We go there for a regular season in March, and then hopefully go back. I think it's the second weekend of May.
When Corey called in earlier, and I'm going to let you go after this, he said, I don't think Alabama softball has lived up to people's expectations the last couple of years. And I said, well, it's a tough go. I said, I don't think they've lived up to their own expectations, because I know you expect every year to get to Oklahoma City, but it's not just as easy as, like I talk about losing weight. If you could talk it off of, it'd be 185. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just can't. You just can't lip service. I mean, it's tough. It's hard. But I know that is the goal every year with this program, and you got to go out and you got to do it. But potentially, you think this team's got the right stuff to get back to the College World Series?
Well, I think when we, for the second year in a row, the toughest part of it is going on the road for a super regional. And the first year we had Florida, and they were number one. And then last year we had Washington, which was obviously a very good team because they finished second in the country last year.
Mm-hmm.
But after we had lost, I think it was Caroline Hardy had said in our post-game meeting that, the season, all those games in February, March, and April, everything happens before it happens. And, we lost one run to Auburn at Auburn. We lost one run to Florida at home. We lost one run to Tennessee. And Georgia, we had a walk-off loss to them at Georgia. And if we turn even two of those into wins, I think we'd finish fourth in the SEC, and we probably would be playing at home. So it's the difference of hosting and not hosting is tiny,
mm-hmm.
but you need to take care of those games. And, we have we go to Florida, we have Georgia at home, we go to A&M, we go to LSU, we've got Kentucky at home. And, that all 13 teams made the NCAA tournament. So whoever we play SEC-wise, that's a big, big game for us. And, that's like playing a top 20 team every weekend. But you need to take care of business. You need to win those series. And I think they're really taking care of business now. I think we've got, obviously, a better staff. We lost our ace in Osorio, and she was one of the best we've ever had. But I think with the three that we added, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, folks, it's almost here. February 8th, the Troy tournament, the next week out in Arizona. But February 15th, or check that, February 22nd, the Easton Bama Bash. The Rhodes House is going to be rocking. I think this is going to be one of the biggest and best years yet for Alabama softball. I mean, the schedule's awesome. The facility is we know as good as there is in the country. This team's going to be fun to watch, mixing in some youth with some returning veterans. I think it's going to be a great year. And Coach, I love the fact that you came on and we kind of kicked it off this morning and get everybody in the mood for softball.
Yeah.
I know this fan base is just, they're biting at the bit to get it going.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Tonight we have our Trivia and Games night sponsored by our Booster Club, and then Brickyard season tickets are still on sale, and they're only $45. So it's one of the best deals in town. You come to 5 games, you pay for your ticket.
Get them, folks. Sell this thing out. Just sell out all the season tickets. Make Murph add some standing room only tickets. These SEC series, I'm telling you, it ought to be just wall to wall. It's going to be a fantastic year. Thanks a lot, Murph.
Thanks, Gary.